Today I'm joined by Katie Rogers, CFO at Greencore, a company that's revolutionising sustainable house building with an ambitious target of 10,000 homes using all natural materials and ultra-low energy consumption. Cool, so I think we'll jump straight in. Katie, do you want to tell me a bit about you, how you got to where you got to and how you ended up in property?
Yeah, so I think like most, my career's taken a path not really through choice, just by a bit of luck and a bit of fortune, I suppose, and just things happening for a reason. So I started my career at PwC as an accountant, working up in Leeds for my original 4 years, and then I moved down to London to be with my husband or boyfriend at the time. And I'd been working on property clients up north. My dad is a builds extensions, so it's always been in my blood on a Saturday morning going around doing estimates and quotes with him. So the two things came together and I ended up working for PwC at a company called Telford Homes, doing their year-end audit. Really like the company, really like the people. And so quite randomly at the end of the audit, I said to them, if ever there's a role, let me know. Not thinking at that point I was moving roles. I'd just moved down from Leeds. And they said to me, well, there might be. And so that's how that career started. And I never really expected to be there as long as I was. So I was at Telford Homes for 15 years.
Wow.
It's quite a long time, but in my mind it was 4 different roles.
Yeah.
So I started as a financial analyst. Straight into the great financial crisis, so it was a really difficult time.
Straight in the deep
a lot to learn. You think you know quite a lot when you've been at university and you've been through PwC's graduate course, and then you realise you don't know anything. So I did that, then moved into the financial controller role, and then in 2011 in the CFO role, and then into the COO role a few years later. So it was a long time, but learned a lot. Went through lots of ups, lots of downs, and eventually we sold the business to CBRE in 2019, so another interesting time. And so from there then I sort of stayed with the business for a little while, but very different when you're used to being a listed business, running the business with a lot more autonomy to being part of a big global company. So then I decided to leave in 2022-ish it was, and joined Greencore Homes. And the attraction of Greencore was that it's still house building, it's still property, so I can use all my skills, all my experience, my contacts, but it's very different because it's houses and we're focusing on sustainable house building, whereas Telford Homes was high-rise London development. So same challenges, different challenges. And so I've been there now for 2 years, and what we're there to do as a team is to grow the business and become a national house builder. So it's almost going back to where Telford's was and bringing the company along, but in a slightly different way.
Yeah, and I suppose you can take all your learns from Telford and implement that into Greencore.
Yeah, that's it. So we can use some of the learnings, some of the what to do's, what not to do, different market challenges, but equally the interesting part of it, why it's a little bit different, is because we're creating sustainable homes, we're future-proofing homes, we're thinking more about the future. Not that we didn't do that at Telford Homes, but it was less of a focus at that point in my career.
Have you found that you've had to change the way you're working with that kind of change of agenda for the business, or not? Like, does it impact what you do day to day, or have you had to alter any way that like decisions that you make based on that, or is it not too dissimilar?
It is different because it introduces, there's a different way of building. So we build part of our homes in a factory, so we now have a factory set up, so that is very different to what we had before. But in terms of how we build the houses, there's always competing sort of cost versus value in everything you do in house building, because it is a costly business and relatively tight margins. But then we throw in a different dynamic of sustainability KPIs, which are equally important. But you've got to balance that again with value, cost, how much the house costs, can anyone afford it? You could do lots of different sustainability things, but if it ends up creating a house that is then unaffordable, then it's no use to anyone. So it's just another set of metrics that need to be thought about when you're working out the best way to deliver the houses.
Yeah. And so since the 2 years that you've joined then, what's the company done? What's been the best part of it? What's been the hardest part?
Yeah, so I think when I joined there was about 50 people. We had the factory set up. M&G are our main investor, and they bought into the business a couple of years before. So we've really professionalised the business. We've got a brand name, we've got the factory set up. We're starting to deliver houses, and we've got a pipeline. So when I joined, we were just on the verge of buying the first 2 sites, but it takes a while to get them through planning, onto site. So I think what I'd really describe is the wheels are moving forward. We're really making progress. People know who we are. So that's been, and it's really interesting to do that. The challenge is when you go into a business that started as a family business, really, is everything you do, you're doing it for the first time. So processes and procedures, everything you do, systems, everything needs to be set up from scratch. And from a personal perspective, I went from having a team of 20 accountants in a business of over 300 people to myself and one financial controller. So your spread and the plates that you're juggling there's just so many. So you're going from making sure an invoice is paid to setting up a bank facility to raising debt finance. So it's just such a wide spread. So it's a big juggle, and that's been probably the hardest challenge. I think we've got a few more people in the team now across the whole business, not masses, but we've now got every discipline. Whereas when I first joined, we were sort of dealing in things that probably weren't necessarily your primary skill set, because we just had to get things done. Now we've got all the skills I think we need in the business, and
makes
a bit
it
more
easier,
support.
More support and easier to scale, and it just gives you that sort of grounding, really, rather than everybody running around like headless chickens trying to get everything sorted. And so was CFO always your end goal, or did you just... I always ask people this, because some people are like, that's what I knew, exactly what I wanted, I was aiming for that, and other people are like, well, not really, I just sort of got up every day and worked really hard, and that's where I ended up. So...
And to be fair, that probably is where I ended up. I'm from Barnsley, and but when not many people there when I was growing up went to university.
No.
Not many people went to college at that point in time. So none of my family had been to university or college or anything. So I was a little bit different, and I saw how hard my dad worked, but on a house building type, construction type site, and I just wanted to achieve the best that I could. So I worked all the way through university at a children's store to trying to keep my debts down as low as I could. And then I knew I wanted to be something to do with numbers, hence PwC. And then really it was just pure luck, stumbling into the Telford job, working with a fantastic team, fantastic founder. And when they asked me, I was only 29, I think, 28, 29, just got married. And they said, do you think you'd want to step up into the CFO role if John steps up into the CEO role, who was the CFO at the time? And I suppose I just sort of went, well, I'll give it a go.
I'll try my best.
I didn't actually know, with hindsight, didn't really think about the risks, didn't really think about any of that, just said, I'll give it a go. And with the support of the team, the exec team and the non-execs, it was really enjoyable. Difficult, but enjoyable. So I've always been someone who likes to challenge and be thrown into new things. So it was more luck, really. Why I like it now is because of the variety. So it is still financial, but there's a lot of relationship focus as well, which I think is important in whatever you do. So you've got a real spread of skills. Your day-to-day is so varied. So I don't think I'd do anything else now. I've been asked, would I want to be the CEO? And we had that debate at Telford's when the CEO was about to leave. And I don't think I would.
Why?
So I quite like having someone to bounce ideas off. Which, although you could still have that in a CEO role. Although if my current CEO was sat here now, he'd say I'm the one who makes all the decisions, but he then makes the final decision, but he doesn't really. So I think just having that extra layer to bounce ideas off is really important for me. And the finance side of it is what I really enjoy.
You like that call,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people lose that. I know I speak to a lot of people that have had some amazing careers, obviously within real estate, and something they're like, oh, you know, I always ask them like, what was your favourite job that you've had throughout? And often it was not the one right at the top of the tree. It was, you know, when they were a bit more involved.
It's getting that balance right, because at Telford, in the end, I was CFO and COO, so I was, you know, dealing with HR, IT, but all you were doing is making sure every department was on track.
Yeah.
You weren't really doing anything.
Yeah.
And so I knew when I wanted a change that I wanted to go back to getting my hands dirtier.
Yeah.
Now I could argue I've gone too far the other way.
Yeah.
But that was part of the thinking, that I don't just want to have, you know, catch a meeting and make sure everyone's doing what they should be doing.
Along, yeah.
I want to be part of the team and get involved.
Do you think finance roles within real estate differ to those within other sectors? And if so, or the skills required to be good in a finance role within real estate, do you think that differs to like other industries, let's say like banking or, you know, any other, you know, technology or whatever?
Yeah, I think it does, because to be good in a finance team in a house builder, you have to understand the whole process.
Yeah.
So I think it might be a bit of a silly thing to say, but you don't necessarily, if you work in every finance department, have to understand the product. Yeah. If you, let's say you're selling tables or something, how many tables have you sold multiplied by how much you've sold them
simpler,
for?
Yeah.
It's not as relevant where it's come from and how you've got there. Whereas in house building, you have to understand the whole process and the timings, which is, there's a lot of things that are outside of your control, planning, where you find sites from. It's not like a sweetie shop, you go in and pick when you want, when you want. So you have to be able to flex all your numbers. You have to understand what could impact and the risks. So working out the base set of numbers is relatively straightforward, but you have to understand how long it might take to get there, what the costs of that are, what the ups, what the downs are. And then layered onto that, you generally, in smaller house builders, you need to understand the debt market as well, because you supplement with debt. So it's quite a varied role, particularly in a smaller house builder. If you get to larger house builders, you specialise in certain segments, but you still have to understand the development process, which I really enjoy. And I think part of that is coming from my dad. And then I was silly enough during lockdown we built our own house, so I've been through it myself, which is a bit crazy as well. Not with my own hands, but we did. And so I think you've got to have a real interest in it as well, which is very different to some accounting or CFO roles, where I don't think you need to be as interested in the product that you're providing.
And so current market conditions then, or current, you know, in today's world, what are the biggest challenges that Greencore are facing, would you say?
There's the obvious one, which is planning. But I think it's more just time generally, that the time development takes is out of your control largely until you get on site. So buying land is hard, and there's a limited resource, and it's always competitive. So that's always a challenge to start with. And it's not, as I said, it's not like a raw material that you can just say, right, I need another site for 100 units. I'll just walk into a shop and I'll buy my raw material. So it's never easy to just get a steady flow. That's a challenge. And then getting onto site is a challenge. So everything that's been said in the last 6 to 12 months by the government is great. Now they need to action it. So everything about delivering more housing, helping affordable housing, brilliant. Sorting out the planning system. But again, it's going to take time to do that. So I think, and it being out of your control, and it's a capital intensive business. So if your cash is out for another 3 to 6 months, that then delays the next site coming on. So you have to be really flexible and fluid, and be aware of all the risks and the moving parts.
And so what are the what's the, I don't know, do you have a 5-year plan, or like what are the goals, and what are you working on currently, and you know, what are the exciting parts of the business? So Greencore started over 11 years ago now, with our founders Ian Pritchett and Martin Pike, who
devised a closed timber panel, which is effectively the walls of the house, and that's why we're different to traditional house builders, because our walls are all made out of natural materials, which is what makes us partly makes us a sustainable house builder. So that business was founded 11 years ago, and the panels were devised with the University of Bath. And then when they looked for funding to scale a couple of years ago, M&G invested into the business and wanted, the aim was to deliver 10,000 homes over the next 10 years and to become a national house builder. So to do that, the original investment by M&G was, get yourself a management team who knows how to scale and get yourself a factory that's big enough for the first phase of that scaling. And that's what we did. And so that now we're on track to build the pipeline to grow. So we're still aiming to deliver 10,000 homes over it's not 10 years anymore, but the next 7 to 8 years. Yeah. And so that's what we're all about. We'll scale by having small factories in local areas. So we're not going to have one big facility, which makes us a little bit different to some of the MMC manufacturers who have struggled, where they've had one huge factory and tried to build an entire house in a factory. That's not what we're doing. It's the panels that can be transported quite easily, which makes us a little bit different. So we'll scale the business. So we've got the factory, we've got the people, we've got some sites, we need some more sites, and then we need to move on to sales. So our first home's launching now, so they start being sold in October or completing in October.
Where are they?
So they are just outside Didcot, in Oxfordshire. Yeah. So our production is in Bicester, so we're spread to start with between Oxford and Cambridge. Yeah. That's where we're based, our patches at the minute.
Brilliant. And are you finding with, with buyers now, are you finding that they're liking and asking more and more about the sustainability side of things, or how sustainable houses are, or are you noticing that more so from your time at Telford, would you say?
Yeah, I think the buyers we'll be targeting mainly at Greencore, particularly over the next 12 months, are sort of owner-occupiers and affordable housing providers. Yeah. Both of which have experienced significant increase in bills over the last probably 2 years now. Yeah. So I think that's the first trigger for people thinking about what they're buying next, because it hurts when it hurts your pocket. You start thinking about it a bit more. But equally, future-proofing of their homes. Yeah. So they don't want to be spending on maintenance costs and upgrading. Retrofitting is expensive. So what we're focusing on is how, one, they'll benefit from lower bills, two, they've got a future-proofed house as well, and trying to translate. So our website at the moment, we've got a corporate, more investor-type website, but we're also launching our consumer-facing website, which explains everything with a few less acronyms. Fewer acronyms, a bit more. What does that mean for me? Why is that better for me than a traditional house on the site next door, perhaps? What do I get that I don't get there? So it is becoming more and more important, and people are looking at, well, how can I keep my costs down now, and how can I keep my maintenance costs down in future? As
low as possible, definitely. Yeah. I think people, particularly as people are renting for longer, I think historically everyone used to really slate renting, really, and actually now there's a lot more propaganda around, actually it can be a great thing to do, and buying isn't always the answer. And I think the more and more people, the longer people are renting for, the more they realise they like the ease. Something goes wrong, they ring someone up. Yeah. They're often newer, more renovated properties, and they don't have as much upkeep. And I do think people like that. Yeah. I think playing on that is probably a good. Yeah, and
and just
strategy.
Generally, from an actual climate perspective, you can notice it yourself in temperature changes and things like that.
100%.
We've all got a part to play. Yeah. In everything we do, and therefore, if there's a sustainable option. Yeah. People will look at it, and it's not about just the homes on our developments as well. It's the surrounding area as well. We're not very, our sites are not that dense, but we've also got open space and meadows and the plants and everything else. So it's got a nice feel to it as well. Not what I would class as a traditional housing estate. Yeah.
And so, what do you think is presents, I guess, the biggest challenge to you guys over the next 12 24 months, and what do you think could be done to make that easier for you guys and your competitors, I guess?
Yeah, I think support, particularly because we are still an SME. We are still small. So
how many people are you now?
So we're about 60 people now,
Yes.
which is, we're on site with 100 homes now. We've got another 100 where we've got heads of terms agreed, another 200 going through planning. So we're still relatively small from a number of units.
Yeah.
So what our biggest challenge is proving everything that we've been saying in terms of we can monitor the homes already. We've already delivered homes that we can monitor, but actually getting on site, which we're now on site, delivering the homes and showing how we are different and proving it at scale.
Yeah.
So previously it might have been 2 or 3 units on each site. Now we're talking about 50 up to 100 on each site. So it's delivering at scale. The market's always challenging, but you've just got to be agile. So we've adapted a mixed tenure business plan, which includes some affordable housing, it includes some rental housing, includes for sale housing, so that we can move as the market
and
moves.
Be diverse,
Because we have got government support for house building now, but it still takes time. So funding is available, but it takes time, and everything takes time. So anything that can speed anything up in the development cycle is welcomed, so that we can get building quicker.
Yeah, definitely. And how are you, in terms of, are you looking to, people-wise, like, are you looking to grow much more in terms of headcount? Do you foresee you guys scaling in that way, or is the growth much more now in terms of the delivery of sites, or what's the plan?
Yeah, so we will be scaling more on the site and factory side of things rather than head office. So one of the benefits of having M&G's investment was that we could get a senior management team, a strong senior management team early, and systems in place, which are not cheap to do, but we had the equity to do that. That's meant we've got all the skills in the business and a relatively top-heavy team, but that won't then need to grow from here. So we then will just add in line with sites, really. But having the skill set, as I said right at the start, from each discipline with experience and knowledge is what's really helped us to get moving, and the contacts and all of that sort of thing is what's helped us get moving. So we will be growing in terms of headcount, but mainly as the sites grow, we'll have more people on site. We're the main contractor, so we manage our own sites, and then we have subcontractors underneath, like a house builder would, and then the factories. So we won't need to increase our overheads too much. And that's been one of the challenges, because in a growing business, your overheads are front-loaded, and you have to invest early, and it takes time in development for your revenue and your profits to come through.
Of course.
But we've got visibility of that. The more we've got in the pipeline, you've got visibility of how you can move forward. We are still loss-making, but we've got visibility of when that will flip the other way around. Yeah. All things being equal.
Fingers crossed. And how does it? Obviously Telford was very much London-based business, high-rise, and you're now focusing much more on sort of owner-occupier and sort of home counties and surrounding areas, I guess. How have you found any differences with that? What are are there any differences in the business decisions that you have to make, or have you found it a different way of working at all, moving from?
Yeah, I mean, there's different planning challenges. So instead of rights of light, which you get around here where we are with high-rise buildings, we've then got newts and bats and things like that we need to think about. So there's definitely that sort of challenge. From a financing point of view, it was changing the way that we're cash flowing and thinking about debt finance, because once you start a high-rise building, you've got to build the whole thing, and therefore the risk profile is a little bit different as well. Here, if you get it right, you can build as you're selling, almost, which then reduces the amount of cash that you need in each development. So that's been a big mindset change, that programming of the site is very important, and how we do that to minimise the amount of equity. Once you build a high-rise tower, once you've started, there's only one way, so the quicker you can get out, the better. Unless it's two or three blocks sort of thing. So that's been a big change. Affordable housing, we still deliver affordable housing, which is important in terms of to housing associations. And that's different to the ones in London, but they have similar requirements and needs.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest change has been looking at the site and how you can minimise the amount of our equity that goes in so we can do more.
Yeah. And so then flipping back to more of the personal questions then, what's been your biggest challenge career to date, and what's been your biggest achievement, would you say? Do you know?
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge was post the sale of Telford to CBRE, because it was their US subsidiary that affected the transaction rather than a UK base, and we went straight into lockdown. So I think it completed in October 19 and we went into lockdown. So trying to explain a business when people couldn't actually be together and get to know each other was really challenging, and everyone in the business was working from home apart from our construction site teams. So I think that was a really difficult time for both parties. And we'd never worked from home either. Everyone working from home and site still working on site was a real challenge. Probably didn't help them with the transition from being a listed business to having reporting lines up into the bigger CBRE group. That was a mindset shift that probably was made a little bit more difficult as well by the not being able to build the relationships between the two parties. Biggest achievement, I think the biggest achievement was when I was asked to be CFO at Telford, because I didn't expect it. I was just working away, working hard, just got married. Thought, wow. And I think I actually said to John, but I'm not even 30. And he said, it doesn't matter. And I was like, oh, it doesn't matter. And then moving through that role, I do have children. I've got 2 children, so that's hard as well. But being able to go back and still maintain work-life balance, run a family. Yeah,
we were talking about this before the pods, but
it's hard.
Obviously quite relevant, because I am not just fat, I am actually expecting a baby. But it's always interesting to hear how everyone did it so differently, and I've speaking to lots of different women who have had kids and then returned. I think lots of similar challenges, but also lots of people dealing with it in different ways. What do you think you did well in that scenario, and what maybe would you do differently if you were to have another?
Yeah, so I won't be having another.
That was a quick answer.
I won't be having another. I think what I did well was went back. I had the time, I had a year off, and then I went back. And it is hard because everyone thinks that you're just going to walk back in and it's all going to be back how it was. But I went back with quite a clear mindset that if ever I wasn't enjoying it, because there's always the guilt, everyone has the guilt,
that
I wouldn't do it. And I would find something where I could have the balance that I needed. And that works, because then instead of feeling guilty, that's you've got a decision. That's the decision you're going to make. But it is hard to go. It is hard to return to work. I do support and mentor quite a lot in the industry generally. And it tends to be ladies, because they see that have been there and have done it, and it's not easy. And I quite enjoy doing that, because it is possible. And you just have to accept a lot of help. Any help from anywhere, accept it.
Okay, noted. And so, just biggest achievement we spoke through. Obviously, having your kids throughout your time at Telford. You were having your kid. You didn't.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah.
What goals do you have moving forwards then? Or what do you want to achieve in this next part of your career?
I think continuing to learn. So at Telford, I had 4 different roles sort of that I continued to learn. I then took on a non-exec role because I wanted to continue to learn. At that point, I was still happy in the role at Telford, so I wanted to do something else. And I took on a role of a non-exec at CHP, which is a housing association in Chelmsford. Cool. To see how it is on the other side. We've dealt with HAs all the way through my career. And, often there's frustrations with they're slow, what do? They're inefficient. And then when you see the challenges that they're facing on the other side, you see things very differently.
Yeah, I bet that's fascinating,
So I do want to continue to expand and learn just different ways of doing things, which Greencore's enabled me to do that because, as I said, it's got similar challenges. But again, I've had to build different relationships with banks, so it's not really the clearing banks now, it's more the challenger banks. So you can use your skills, but just apply them and learn in different ways. So, I mean, I've still got a long way to go, I think. I've still really enjoy working. I love working, I love learning, I love being part of a team. I love seeing my team grow. So I'm not ready to give up just yet.
No, definitely not. Sounds like you're only just on your way as well, and it sounds like a really exciting time for Greencore, particularly with the hopefully some of the sales around the corner and some product getting completed. I think that's what the best part about my job always, I think, is I often meet with developers right in the early stages, and they show you the plans and they show you the vision. And then when you walk around kind of 2 or 3 years later and you're like, wow, like this is
it's seeing
really
it in real
cool.
life and taking some pretty horrible sites or
exactly.
derelict buildings and turning them into really nice places to live. And there's challenges along the way with the community around you who don't want change. You have to really work on relationships. But then seeing the customers moving into their homes,
and it's so tangible, I think.
Happy. It's tangible. We've all got a house, or we all live in a house at least, or we have a home. But actually seeing it and changing someone's life is what everyone can relate to.
Definitely.
I could never be a CFO of, say, a screw making factory or something because it just doesn't interest me. It is
I always say
is.
that. I always say to whenever I've worked at Devil Smith for a really long time, and whenever people ask me, they're like, what made you stay here for so long? And I was like, I really like the real estate industry. And that, I still love going and seeing a new site. I still love meeting a business that has either been going for ages and learning about what they're going to do next, or a new business coming to market with new ideas.
And you always have to change.
Definitely.
If you look over any real estate or property businesses, look back over 20 years,
they're always evolving.
Everything has changed. Things are evolving all the time. I mean, we went from when we were back in 2010, everyone was buy to let. Everyone was buying apartments. Then, particularly in London, everyone was buying from overseas. Then we moved into build to rent. BTR came around. Then we moved into single family. SFR came around. There's all these acronyms and names, and there's affordable housing has always been a part of what we do. Now we're looking at multi-tenure schemes. So everything has to change and move. So
and
you never look
move,
back, and it's the same 20 years down the line.
No, that's right, actually, Well, look, thank you. That's been brilliant. We normally end with some quick fire questions. So Laura prepares these for me. So some of them are great. Some of them are very random, but they're normally pretty good. So I'm going to start, if that's all right. First and foremost, would you prefer to have dinner with David Attenborough or Elton John?
Oh. I'd prefer Ant and Dec, actually.
Okay. We'll add them in. Why Ant and Dec?
I just love them. I just think they'd be such good fun.
It would be a great dinner.
I think it'd be a great dinner. But out of them two, it would be Elton John, because that between Elton John and Rod Stewart was the cassette that used to go around in the car.
Okay. I think I'd choose Elton John as well. If you won the lottery tomorrow, what would be the first really indulgent thing that you'd buy? Or what would you do?
It depends how much it is, I suppose. But
what's a million? Well, no. 100 million.
100 million. I'd quit. Sorry, John. No, I mean, I don't actually know. I have to say, I'm not sure what I'd buy. My husband could reel off 10 things, I think. I don't think there's anything I'd really.
You can tell you're in finance and I'm not. I know exactly. I could right. I've got a list.
No, I think what's something I'd quite like to do, which I would probably never do just on my own. I'd quite like to get a camper van and just go off.
Travel.
And just travel. Probably regret it with 2 kids after about a week, but I would quite like to do that and just go and see more of the world. I think that's probably what I would do. I'd travel more. I'd see more of the world.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would book a holiday the minute it entered my bank account.
That probably is what I would do, actually. Yeah.
And finally, if you could own any property in the world, what would it be and why? Or which one would it be and why?
Any property in there? I think that's got to be Buckingham Palace.
Would you? That's a good one.
I think it'd be Buckingham Palace, just because it's
I could see you waking up there.
I'm not sure I'd live there. But it's quite a famous and, British legacy building. Yeah.
I like that. Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lovely to chat to you.